Harmony price update.
Let's get into it.
So today, guys, we are going to be taking another cheeky look at Harmony One. And we're going to be specifically looking at the One Harmony price action and how it has been performing recently, as well as that bigger macro view to see how it's been performing for this entire bull run so far and what might be to come in the very near future. As we get into this video, guys, if you do find it useful and informative, hit that like button for us. We both really do appreciate that. And of course, if you happen to be new to the channel and you would like to stay up to date with the new cryptocurrencies, the hidden gems, technical analysis, and news, then do go ahead and subscribe. By subscribing, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It is free. You'll stay well informed. So why not? Chris, anything else you want to kind of talk about before we jump on down into the charts and get into the technical side?
Yeah, so don't forget you can delegate your Harmony One to the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏 for some juicy rewards of around 10.5 to 11% APY. We've got over 37 million One Harmony delegated to our pool. So jump in, join the rest of these individuals that are making juicy rewards.
Fantastic. Yeah, that pool's doing really well. We were able to get 10 slots yesterday, so we'll continue that and see if we can get some more slots and some more juicy rewards going forward as well. Right, let's jump on down into the technical analysis and see exactly what's been going on from the macro view to start with, and then we'll get into the micro stuff as well. Right, guys, here we are. This is Harmony One to the USDT. This is the daily chart, and Binance is the data source. And this is basically the daily chart just zoomed right on out. So we get a bigger macro view as to being, so we can see exactly what's been going on here. Now, ultimately, we can see that there were several different trend lines, and there's lots of different graphs and things going on here. So let's just break this down. We have got this upward trend line. This is our support line that was forming since the crash of March 2020. And once that actually bottomed out, that was the kind of the kickstarter to the Elliott wave theory that you see here with the 5 waves, but also started our upward trend line. Then we can see that basically during the correction of wave 2, it also bottomed out and found the bottom area here and also bounced from this trend line, confirming that as a good area of support. That actually formed a triangular wedge. We had the breakout event of there, moving things right up to this upper band here. Now, just before March crash, we obviously have this resistance upward trend line. And that was also confirmed with the peak of wave 1. That was also then reconfirmed over here just after wave 2 as we were halfway through wave 3. And there was a bit of a pullback here when it found that resistance and then that breakthrough event that basically then pushed the price of Harmony One right up the top there and peaking out at wave 3. That was the 24th of March approximately this year. Now, what we're looking at here is basically seeing if we can confirm that this upward trend line that was previously resistance is also a support line. So there was a possibility during this 4th wave that we'd actually come down and do exactly that. We'd come right down to this line and we'd bounce up from it. Now, actually what's happened here is it actually fell a little bit short and it actually got a bounce to the upside after kind of bottoming out where we put our yellow box just here. So quite a lot of stuff has been going on this chart, right? We have 2 upward trend lines that are quite clear to see on this macro view. We obviously have our resistance line, and that kind of comes in right up here at the peak of wave 1. And this is where we kind of drew a line in the sand, if you will, as a true low level that Harmony One potentially could go down to during wave 4. Obviously, it was never going to be the case because wave 3 was quite a significant one anyway. So we put it here. It's just good to know that it was there. Did not think we're actually going to go down to 1.4 cent, but at least we know there is a line there if we ever were to consider such a move. And obviously that upward trend line is the most vital one, and obviously where we are thinking this is most likely going to start ending up. Now, what's interesting is this upward trend line that formed back before March 2020 is also something that's forming here on a downward trend from this recent peak of wave 3. And these things actually intersect in December. So there's something that could happen here that could really go ahead and trigger off some kind of parabolic move towards the upside. So we're going to be monitoring that situation, how long this is actually going to take to complete wave 5, whether the breakout event will actually happen much earlier around September or something like that. We'll have to see. But for now, this looks like a pretty good move on the macro side. So from the the crash of March 2020 to that peak of wave 3, that saw 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 have a good price action. It was a fantastic move to the upside that was 18,943% in gains. That was an astonishing move, and I know a lot of people in the space who maybe are new to this to the cryptocurrencies altogether, and maybe they're expecting things to move slightly faster, and they're getting quite frustrated that 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 hasn't exactly been moving as fast as they might have expected. But if we really have a look at this macro view, we can see that Harmony One has moved 18,943% in just over 1 year, which is quite a phenomenal amount of gains to be had on one single cryptocurrency. So any of those people who were potentially looking at Harmony One back in March of 2020 or even earlier, could see the value in what was actually being built there with some really good solid technology and a fantastic community. And they've been potentially seeing that they're still holding right now for phenomenal gains with Harmony One. And I still feel that there's going to be some fantastic gains still to be made. And we can see this from wave 5 over here. And if we follow this, wave 1 to here, 2 down here, 3, 4 is where we are right now, and going to 5 could see this thing up towards that dollar level, and maybe even further beyond that, depending on what else happens within the entire crypto space. After all, anything is possible here in the crypto sphere. But ultimately, there are some things that we have to consider as what is the theoretical kind of upper limit, what from a technical point of view, but also from the fundamental point of view as well. And with Harmony One being a relatively low supply in relation to many of these others, it doesn't take a lot of money to move that needle dramatically. And there's a lot of people actually currently delegating and staking Harmony One. And the more of that actually happens, the greater price demand or the greater the demand on a finite supply could seriously increase the price of Harmony One as well. So there's going to be significant things that will be catalysts for price discovery when it comes to Harmony One, above and beyond just what the team are doing, what the community is doing in terms of bridges between lots of the different chains, lots of partnerships and things like that. There's also the fact of things that we can do as holders of Harmony One by delegating it and basically removing that from the circulating supply. There's about a 7 epoch lockup period, which is approximately 5 days. So that thing will really help significantly increase the price of Harmony One. So if you're not delegating, do check out some of the many fantastic pools that are up there. We obviously run a pool, but there's many of other ones as well. So do check them out. And you'll be earning a passive income on your Harmony, but you'll also be supporting price discovery and the project from decentralization as well. So it has a lot of benefits to it. And obviously on this journey to that 5th wave and potentially up to $1, $1.50, maybe even $2. This is going to be some phenomenal kind of growth with Harmony One, considering it is currently 9.3 cents. So let's talk a little bit now about what's happening on the micro view. So now we have a good understanding as to where things are from a macro point of view. It's always good to understand what's happening right now so that we don't just worry needlessly about particular kind of price action. So here we are, we're zooming in a little bit. And ultimately what we had here was this downward trend that had formed. We can see this being touched upon many different times. And we also saw this breakout event here. We also have our upward trend from our lower level here through to these touch points. And then also an area that we was getting tested yesterday. Ultimately, this was where Bitcoin had a correction on the back of several different things. One, it hit resistance, and 2, Elon Musk tweeted about a breakup with Bitcoin. And these things kind of just have a natural way of really being manipulated, and just basically people were getting very, very fearful that Bitcoin was going to drop significantly. And as a result, everything in the crypto space kind of had a bit of a correction to go along with Bitcoin. So ultimately what you see here is Harmony One also going down with Bitcoin at that particular time in yesterday. And we found support briefly on our upward trend here, but it continued to fall down even further. It actually went back below our downward trend line. We obviously broke back through this and retested this area here, but again, we're still falling to the downside. So right now, these trend lines are a little bit all over the place. They're not exactly giving us a very accurate picture of what is going on. So instead of using trend lines, which are the easiest things to draw on a chart, but they are not very reliable because they're the easiest things to invalidate. So we'll have to rely on some other technicals here to help us understand what's been going on. So what I'm going to do is just clean this up a little bit. I'm just going to remove, well, I'm actually going to just pull these ones back a little bit, just keep them out of the way. So they're always good to reference these maybe at a later date. So we'll just keep them over here for now. So right now we obviously have these two things that were going on, the recent breakdown. And what we can do is actually find some good area of resistance and support lines. These are going to be the slightly stronger things for us right now to find where potential bottoms are and where we might be looking to kind of, accumulate, or potentially if you're a short-term trader where you might want to consider potentially selling and buying back or whatever you want to do. So right now we can obviously see that this area here coming in at about 9.1 cent is a support line for us. So let's have double tap on this. This happened on the 4th at 1 p.m. and it also came down on that second attempt on the 5th of June at 1 p.m. So same time of day, guys. It seems to have come down to this particular point in time. Double tapping in here, and then we're looking to continue this motion to the upside. Now, the other thing that we have to bear in mind is where the relative strength index is. And right now, this is incredibly low. It's at 37. So again, being as low as we are, unfortunately, the volumes are quite high, and that's going to be selling pressure right now. We want to see this volume actually increase from a low base, which is going to hopefully be good positive purchasing volume once that sentiment changes a little bit. And what that'll do is basically increase our relative strength index to the upside. So at the moment, we have all this space here on this relative strength index to utilize, but we can only utilize it in the most efficient way possible when we have good purchasing volume. And right now, that sentiment just isn't necessarily there. We're seeing basically this high selling pressure occur time and time again on the volume side of things. And what you need is good volume to come in here. And it needs to be good purchasing volume rather than this high selling volume. So I think a lot of people are very frustrated with Harmony One because they are too focusing in on this kind of shorter time period and not enough on that kind of macro piece. It's important that you look at both. And just looking at one, irrespective of what's going on in the other, potentially could send you down the wrong kind of path. So if you're only looking at the macro view and you're right at the peak of, let's say, wave 5, you're not necessarily going to see some of those micro movements that are actually indicating a move to the downside. And the same can be said when you're looking at the micro view without taking in consideration the macro view. If you're looking at the micro view right now, you're saying this is a bear market, we're going down, 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 or breaking things down, right? But actually the bigger part of the bigger picture here is that we're moving to the upside into wave 5. So we have to consider both in these scenarios. You cannot just look at one and ignore the other. And right now we are looking like there's some short-term opportunities here. There's always opportunities, no matter if you're bear or bull, there's always an opportunity. And you can either short, you can buy, you can do whatever, right? So there's opportunities in this. And for many people, this will just be accumulation. We'll just be accumulating time and time again, and building bigger positions for when you go into the later stages of the bull run. So right now where we are, where we're low on this relative strength index, the volumes are interesting, but they're not the best. The sentiment just isn't quite there yet. You want to take advantage of finding good support areas and dollar cost averaging a solid position in the particular cryptocurrency. So for us, One Harmony is absolutely one of those key projects that we'd like to dollar cost average into. Same with VeChain, same with Cardano's ADA. I'm kind of done with XRP. I've got such a significant position there, but it was the same strategy. You're just constantly dollar cost averaging into those. And ultimately, you build up a very, very good position for exiting later. And it's important that you have a really good exit strategy that goes along with that. So in terms of this update for Harmony here, we can obviously see these breakdowns. We obviously need to reevaluate our situation. We're going to be looking for these support lines and these resistance areas. Obviously, we do know that there is this major resistance area up here at the 702. This is an area that we're constantly battling against. And this approximately comes in at about 11.4 cents. So we will eventually be back up into this area again. And when we get there, we need to absolutely have the right kind of criteria behind Harmony One. We need to have a good sentiment in the market that's quite happy and full of hope for pushing the price forward. And we also need to see good purchasing volume that's building over time rather than being too, volatile. And also the relative strength index also needs to be from a low base, so you can optimize that price discovery. If all of these things are aligned at the right kind of price, you can have a good breakout event. So right now what we're looking for is to find this support line that we currently have here, double tap 1 p.m. yesterday, 1 p.m. today, double tap in this support line. This should then start to see us potentially move the price up to this other resistance area, which is around 10 cent or so, to 10.2 or so, like that. And up here, we're going to find these resistances. Now, ultimately, ultimately, we're going to move through the 200 moving average, the 100 moving average, and obviously that 50. So right now, this is going to be the main area that we're going to be really focusing on. This is the 50% retracement area. This is where everything seems to be really focusing at the moment. And ultimately, what we'll do is we're going to get up there, we're going to break above it. We want to then correct down and find a good support area there, so we don't actually have to keep coming down to these lower support lines. And if we can do this, then we can slowly gradually work our way back up above the 618 Fibonacci retracement area before having another crack at the 702, which comes in at about 10.2 cent. And if we get all this timed up right, and we give the Harmony One the opportunity to slowly move and correct its way during this recovery, it'll be in a very good position to have that breakout moment where it does start to actually increase in value. So right now, the main issues here in the space is truly the sentiment, and that sentiment is incredibly fearful. And Harmony One does seem to be falling victim to that, as do many of these other cryptocurrencies as well. Some cryptocurrencies seem to be more, seem to withstand it a little bit more than others. Anchor seems to be one. Cardano seems to be another. And ultimately, even potentially XRP to a degree is less volatile than some of these other cryptocurrencies at the moment. Ultimately, the sentiment in the market is quite fearful. And if Bitcoin makes a move, then generally speaking, everything else tries to make a move to a degree. So for now, Harmony One, we'll have to see how this thing evolves. And we obviously do have a good support line here. My expectations are at this point that it is likely to move back up towards that 10 cent area, where it will most likely find an additional area of resistance. So the idea here, guys, is to kind of be trading sideways in this kind of banded area here, somewhere between the 382, which is this green line just at the bottom, and our 50% retracement zone just here. If we can stay in this zone here until that sentiment kind of corrects itself, we'll be doing ourselves a big favor long term. This will really help push the price back up into these key areas here. So what we're looking for is a bit of a gradual, slow burn and a slower move to the upside, but this will actually help with Harmony's price discovery in the future. Chris, I'm not sure if you've got anything else you kind of want to add for Harmony One. Obviously, we are where we are in terms of price. It's been a bit of a volatile market in the last couple of days, but I am still incredibly bullish on Harmony.
Yeah, the only thing to add is hold strong, guys. You got through what I think is the worst of it, and onwards and upwards.
Fantastic. Guys, with that said, we hope everyone found this useful and informative. If you did, hit the like button. We both appreciate that. And don't forget, if you can subscribe, and by subscribing, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It is free, so why not? With that said, done and out of the way, we hope you have a fantastic day, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, take care.